this is Tina, and I am so excited that Tina is going to share with us today about her coaching experience. And Tina and I have had a really fun relationship, is one of the ways I would describe us. And we met back in, was it April? I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, back in April. And I had done a speaking engagement for the organization that she is a part of. And she messaged me very quickly, like the next day or like the day of, and was like, oh my gosh, we have to connect. And it's all been history since then. Is that pretty accurate?
Definitely accurate.
Yeah. And so Tina's been, I mean, man, I could go on and on about how special Tina's journey is and just the impact that coaching has had on her from the start. I mean, the very first session, all up until we had our last session together. How long ago? A month? Maybe more? About a month and a half, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so just the transformation, you guys, that I have seen, and I mean, that's just secondhand. The transformation Tina has seen herself is what she is going to share with us today. And so, yeah, so when we started working together, Tina, what place were you at? And I guess that kind of ties into what made you originally reach out.
Yeah, that's an amazing question. I'm glad you asked it because, where I was, right, when I met you, right, it was through something you did with my organization. And I don't even remember the topic. I just remember hearing you speak for the first time. And I was just like, holy cow, this girl is amazing. Like, you had so much energy. And it was like a magnet. I knew I had to get in touch with you. And the reason was because at the place that I was at was basically lost. Um, I had lost my confidence
Yeah.
at that time. I'd lost courage. I felt invaluable. And I just, at that time, had a lot of insecurities and fears.
Mhm.
And I knew that you would be that person, or that you were that person that could get me back to where I needed to be.
Yeah, yeah, and I remember that so well. And one way that you described it for me right out of the gates, I think it was our first conversation together. You said, Olivia, I lost my balls.
Yeah, that's the truth. That's
Yeah,
exactly what I said.
yeah, I lost my balls. And I think so many
Yeah.
of us get into that place of, Tina mentioned it was a couple of different things at play for her. It was, insecurities and, courage and confidence. And man, I think, and you can agree or disagree with this, but I think as we kind of untied all of that, it all seemed to be connected. And I know that me watching you, I could tell so many avenues opened up once we finally started to honor you and make that space for you. Is that true?
That is very true. That is very true. And I think too, your with what your approach is. I know you never like to use the word homework in it, but I always saw it as homework because it's like, I'm working on myself here. So I liked the challenges that you would bring forth in every session that we had. Um, and it forced me to really think. And I think that along, right, with other aspects of the coaching is what really also added to the change that
Yeah.
has been complete. 160,
Wow.
360, whatever they say.
Whatever
Complete change.
degree it was.
Whatever degree you want. Yeah.
It
It
happened.
was huge.
And what I try and implement with clients is kind of exactly what you were saying, is there's an element of structure, but at the same time, clients, at least I encourage clients to come to the session with their topic or with something in mind to talk about. So what's really interesting about the way that we coached is that you drove the ship. And
Definitely.
I kind of messed that up too. You steered the ship. You drove a car, right? You drive a car and you
I
steer.
was trying. You helped me. You helped me steer it.
We were steering, yeah. And so the beautiful thing about coaching, I think a lot of people get this wrong too, is it's self-motivated. There was
Mhm.
never one time that you came to the call expecting me to give you all the answers, right? And it was
No.
very exploratory.
Yeah, and I think like even in the beginning, you did a fabulous job of setting up expectations, of how you run, your business, and this is how we're going to approach it. And you, because you're very real, and like I said, there was just an automatic connection, like 100 times magnetic connection with
Yeah.
you, because you are very real. Like what you see is what you get, and you make people feel very comfortable, genuinely. And so, yeah, I think when we first had our first couple of sessions, I knew what to expect, and I trusted you.
Yeah.
I just genuinely trusted you. And one thing I have to say is that even if there were times where I was unsure or stuck,
Mhm.
right, as especially maybe in the beginning,
Yeah.
you are an amazing listener. And a lot of times, just through your listening skills, which are amazing, you were able to say maybe what I was having a hard time saying, or directing, right? You'd be like, I think what maybe we might want to look at or dig into, because I'm hearing you say this, Tina, over and over. And so, with your listening skills, there was a lot of, help. I think maybe you don't realize, right, that
Oh, yeah.
you're able to help. And I'm like, yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Let's try that angle.
Yeah. Well, thank you
Come
for
up with a lot of ideas.
yeah, thank you for saying that.
Oh, for sure.
And it's coaching is empowering. It's not meant
It
to,
is.
it's empowering you, empowering whoever, I have a coach too, empowering me,
Absolutely.
whoever it is, to come up with their solution. Because I mean, and if you work with me, I'll say from the very first session, and Tina's heard me say this before, it's not my agenda, because what would work for me won't work for you. That's not very honoring of yourself. And so, Tina, I have to tell you, before we get into more questions, I have to tell you that Tina came to the sessions super, super open to change, super, super self aware, and super honest. I don't think there was one time where you mentioned listening skills, and I've listened to folks where I'm going, I mean, that might be 50% true, but I feel like I'm not getting everything. But Tina, you never ever you gave me everything honestly the first time. And I think that's something you also have to come into coaching with, is just this attitude of, you know what, like, I mean, you're paying for this. It's not like I mean, at some point it's like, what do you expect to get out of it? And you have to come to the table wanting those things. So I want to ask you more specifically about how coaching changed your personal life. And we'll get into corporate professional life in a minute, but how did it change your personal life?
So this is funny. It really validated a lot of what I already knew about myself. Because I think you've already said that, I'm a highly self-aware individual to begin with. Um, However, with the coaching techniques, it really challenged me to dig deeper into
Mhm.
myself. For example, one thing I realized was that I needed to journal, right? I needed to journal. And the reason was because I'm a very creative person. I'm innovative. But I didn't know how to approach, right? How do you make time for journaling? And so some of the techniques, that you took me through really helped me understand and prove that I needed to just do it, right?
Right.
Just do it. Just make the change. And so it's really helped me along the way. It also, I think, has made me realize that I am a natural born leader.
Yeah.
Um, I, looking back, right? Like I tend to take the lead a lot. Um, and now even more so in my personal life, I think because I have more purpose. Like I feel like I have more purpose. I have more intention. I'm more patient. And it's funny because growing up, I always remember being labeled as bossy. I mean, from the time I can remember, like I was always considered bossy. And I think it's because I knew what I wanted. I
Yeah.
always knew what I wanted as a kid, and I always made sure I got it, right? And so now as the, that I'm older, um, I'm still that way. I haven't changed. However, my approach is different, right? I'm not immature anymore. I'm not insensitive anymore. I think it's, I'm still bossy, but it's more strategic and thought through.
A calculated bossiness.
Calculated bossiness, yeah.
Tina, you calculated bossiness does not. I can understand where you're saying calculated. I love it. Tina
Yeah.
is very okay. So Tina is so fun because first of all, she's a dream client because she's so self-aware and you can't like offend her or you can't like it's just a natural relationship that happens with Tina. But Tina is awesome because she is a black and white thinker, but she's also like a creative thinker. And she has a little bit of both. And so we were just joking right before the call. I was like, Tina, I've got some questions to ask you, and we're just going to go through the questions. We're not going to make it all left turns. And that's the beauty, too, of like, these are your strengths. And did a lot of work around this. These are your values. These are your strengths. This is who you are. Like, let's walk in that. So,
Yeah.
So as we're talking about your personal life and your creative journaling, that if I remember right, actually bled into your corporate life, taking care of that in your personal life kind of, it lended itself really nicely to work into your professional life. So think about, what specifically coaching did for your professional life for me.
It completely turned me around. My courage came back, my confidence came back. Um, I I was reconnected with my value, or I even understood it more clearly. I was able to really be all in, and leaning in and move forward, no matter what that was. And I think I gained so much more like personal power within myself. And I was lost, right, in the beginning, and now I totally feel unstoppable.
Wow.
Um, my mentors, my colleagues, I've shared my story with them, and they're just like, "Wow, Tina, I can totally tell that you have changed," and they love it, just
Wow.
as much as I do. I mean, it just unbelievable. I mean, even today, I
Yeah,
still
full body
feel I
chills.
still feel the power from um, the amazing journey when I had together with coaching.
Yeah. I seriously, when we would go through this, Tina and I, and we would, oh my gosh, my favorite part was with Tina. Like we saw results right out of the gate because she showed up every
Yeah.
session ready to do the work. And it was one thing that also, if for those that have worked with me know this, and those that don't will soon find out that I am big on celebrating. And so Tina's like, yeah, I would tell her, I would ask her, make sure that you're celebrating this. This is something great. And you're stepping into this and you deserve to be celebrated. One of my favorite things to do with Tina was to celebrate on the call and just go, wow, how does it feel to like say that out loud? I mean, some of the stuff we were celebrating stuff every single call and
Yeah.
sometimes midweek. And that's what coaching does when you show up and make the
Yeah.
changes and take ownership. So I I I absolutely um I absolutely love how you said that. And then my next question, I already know what you're going to say, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What was the biggest aha moment you had in the coaching process?
Don't place any bets here because we'll lose. It is 100% the ELI assessment that you introduced. And I do remember you didn't say it was like, we're doing this. I believe you presented it as an option.
Yep.
Um, and I apologize if I'm wrong, but I
Yep.
remember you talking about it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is different from, what is it, the Briggs Myers
Yep.
test and all of this other stuff. It's completely different, 100% different from any other personality character test you've ever taken, right? And at the time, I remember thinking to myself, really, it's that different? Okay,
You
I'm
weren't.
in,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And
Sign
when
me up.
we first had the conversation though, you were like okay, like I guess this like makes sense. But then like after we went through the assessment, it's like Tina's like there was life before the ELI and life after the ELI. So keep going. I didn't mean to intrude.
Yeah, no, not at all, not at all. But yeah, I think once I took it and you walked me through the results, I changed immediately in that moment. My whole life just went poof, and I was like on a different like planet. It That's how much I think that was the moment I needed, not clarification, but I needed validation. And that test gave me every validation I needed. And that's why my courage came back, right? Or I hate to say, right, my balls, like everything just in that exact moment. That was the biggest aha moment I've ever had in my life.
Wow. Wow. And what if you could talk about what specifically about your aha moment that really shifted you?
My, well, I guess it's the score.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give anything away because it's really that powerful of a test that I really encourage people to take. Um, but when I realized that I was a 6,
Mhm.
and you don't know what a 6 is, but I know I'm a 6. And what a 6 means to me gave me the validation of what I needed, that every day I get through so much. Tiny things, little things. I still have my results. I go back and I'm like, I'm a 6. I've got this.
And so much of our conversations, so many of our conversations have been, you know what? I tackled that because I started getting confident about who
Yeah,
I'm created to be.
it's insane. It
It was
sounds so insane, but it's so simple
yeah,
and amazing. Amazing.
wonderful. And I knew I was like, I'm gonna tee up right there. I knew exactly what you were gonna say.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to hear it from you and hear you talk about it now, like over a month and a half or so out, like that to hear it still impacting you.
I use it every day. And that's the thing I want to say about the ELI assessment is that you always have your results, and you always have, there's what the other document about the energy
Yep,
levels.
yep,
Whenever I feel, right, because I'm human, I'm not perfect.
right.
Um, Whenever I'm getting ready for something that maybe I'm getting a little worked up about or uncertain about, all I have to do is pull up my pull up my information. I read it. It level sets me. It brings me back down to neutral. I'm like, I got this.
Wow.
It's
Yeah.
insane. And it's the truth. It's the honest to God truth.
Wow.
Very
Wow.
powerful.
Like you saying that again, I'm gonna say it again. I'm just like getting full body chills because
Yeah,
it's
it
so
gives me
true.
chills because it's like, seriously? Like this and it doesn't take you, a long time to do.
Yeah. But it's
You
like,
just have to be honest. You have to know yourself. You have to be honest.
yeah,
And I know I mean, you took me through that too and explained, you know,
yeah. How is the debrief for you? Remember when we did our ELI debrief? Was that valuable then, or was it more afterwards when it sat with you?
no, I think at the moment, that's when it was like, oh, wow, you know,
Yeah.
but I love having the information to keep looking back on when I need it.
Yep.
Great. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never look back.
I
Never look back.
I've given a lot of ELI tests, and they're all like Tina's. I mean, it's not a one-off, guys. This test changes lives. I mean, it changes lives. And so thank you so much for sharing about that. I know that that's near and dear to you. And you kind of already answered this next question, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it just in case there's some more. But what are some ways that you've put what you gained from coaching into practice, and how's your life changed?
Yeah, really, first and foremost, I've had to share my story because it has been, the coaching experience has been that life-changing. I've just been sharing my story, right? Sharing my coaching journey with, my team. I have a team of 6 individuals. And I've shared it with my leader. I've shared it with my network, my mentors. And now I'm courageously and confidently working to obtain approval for my team to take that ELI assessment with you.
Yeah.
But I have to say, it's sharing my journey, it's sharing my story, and sharing the message with people that it's like, you need a coach, not just 1 or 2. It's like, you need people in your life to help you. And you have a network, you have a coach, you have coaches, right? You don't just have one person in your network. You don't just have one friend. So
would you say that it's pretty necessary for someone that's a professional to have a coach, an executive, or even somebody just...
You can't get ahead without
Wow.
mentors and coaches. You can't. I mean, if your senior level leadership, your execs, they all have coaches, right? We don't know everything, and we're not all perfect. Right. And you learn from others.
Mm-hmm.
And so without reaching out and getting what you need through others, you're not going to go anywhere.
Right. Wow, that's so powerful.
You're going to be stuck.
And Tina, you would know that because our conversations, you guys got to understand, Tina knows what she's talking about when it comes to professional development. I mean, she knows what she's talking about. This woman is well read. She has done the things. She has researched. She has looked at all the options, and still she says, there's nothing like coaching, though. And is that true? You are pretty well read in all of that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Very
yeah. And coaching comes in different ways too, right? Mm-hmm. But if you've gone down that road and you had a coach who was maybe a colleague, that's great. Don't stop that. But don't be afraid to reach out and invest in somebody who doesn't know you. I mean, that's the best coaching ever, right? You're getting very objective.
Yeah. Was coaching worth what I charged you for coaching?
Oh my Lord. I hope it's okay if I say that I'm pretty sure we've talked about this, but I'm like, for what you charge and what the value that you bring to the table, like, you're not charging enough.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, it's that powerful. It's that incredible.
God.
You have and I know I've told you this, right, through some of our sessions, and like, you have a magic bag of tools, and when to pull out those tools for whatever individual you're working with. Like, some of the tools aren't going to work with me that maybe worked with other people that you've coached. But that's the whole thing, is that you have so much magic. I know I use that. I'm like, you're like you have like little fairy dust sprinkle. And it's just magic happens. So I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think a lot of people, when they're like, oh, wait, coaching costs more money than I thought, or, whatever, and they have some anxieties around grabbing a coach, I think it's really crucial to make the point that Tina just made. I mean, this stuff is invaluable. I mean,
Yeah, and it's education.
yeah.
It's education. It's
Mhm.
just in a different form.
Right, right. Yeah. So my last question for you, actually, I have one more after this. One more. And I know I didn't send it to you ahead of time, but this is coaching and I'm going to challenge you. But I'll,
You.
I love
I'm
you,
open.
Tina. So, this one you do know though. So if you were so what would you say to someone who is on the fence about signing up for a coach? Maybe they've gone to the website, or they've Googled, or they've researched, and something is just holding them up. What would you say to them?
I would start with a question and say, how can you not
Hmm.
want to have a coach in your life?
Wow.
And again, I've already said it, but it's like, it's your network. If you don't have a network and you don't continuously nurture it, you're not going to go anywhere.
Mhm.
And you should always, have more than one coach, right? Like I said earlier, you don't have just one friend, right?
Right.
So you need, more than one coach. So if you do have someone that you consider a coach in your life, and maybe you're at a dead end, here's an opportunity right in front of you. Grab it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And to kind of go back to what we were talking about, I think it was near the beginning, when you have a coach, it doesn't just, if you're thinking about reaching out to a coach for professional development, or a business coach, or whatever it is, it doesn't just impact you professionally. Y'all, this is holistic.
It
This
is.
this is, and Tina and we were talking offline just before we logged on, and that's one word that I use that she really resonated with, it is this holistic change. It is not just for your job, because we know that we are bigger than our job titles. And it is our job to run fiercely with our gifting, and run right into our passions, and live a life of just complete vitality. And I think Tina really embodies that, especially when you look at where she was versus where she is now. And it didn't take years of coaching, guys. It didn't take,
No.
she didn't have to take out a second mortgage. This
Oh,
stuff is tangible. So
oh, totally.
yeah, and then the
Yeah,
last,
and
go ahead.
it's funny. I just wish people could have seen me in the beginning,
Right.
because I was lost. I mean,
Hmm.
I was like Bambi without mom. Like I was just standing there, in a big forest, and I didn't know what direction to go.
Yeah.
And now I'm doing the directing.
Oh my gosh, mic
You want
drop.
to go this way. You want to go this way.
That's for sure going to be like, whenever I share this, it's going to be like, that's the post that's at the top, that quote, because I think you really embodied that. And man, just seeing all of you come to the sessions, and all of you just fighting for purpose in your life, not being passive, just
Oh,
conquering it head on, taking the tools, trusting me. Man, it has been such an honor to walk with you. And what's really neat is that Tina and I are buddies, and it's not like we hung up the phone and that was it. It's and like Tina said, it's your network now. It's your family now. And
yeah.
my last question for you. You ready?
I'm ready.
She doesn't know if she's ready. She's ready though. Okay. If you were gonna sing karaoke to one song, what
Ah,
would it be, and why?
I want to say that you would kind of know the answer to this too, but I'm not sure.
Justin
I'm a
Bieber.
huge Justin Bieber fan.
So, Tina, before we hop off, anything
Yes.
else you want to add? Did we not cover something?
No, I think I pretty much said it all. I just think really, if, if you want to change, it's you that has to make it.
Mhm.
And have an idea of what it is that you want. Maybe you've lost something like I have, and you need to get it back, or maybe it's something that a skill that you need, or something that you need, and whether it's your personal life or professional life, um, just do it. I mean, Nike says it best. I hate to give them a plug, but I mean, they say it best, and it's like you just have to do it. Just jump in.
Yeah.
No fear. No, don't be uncertain. Don't be afraid. Don't,
Wow.
just do it, and
God.
you'll never regret it. You will be so happy you did it, and wonder why you didn't do it sooner.